This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
4:30.
Okay.
I watered my tomatoes and basil at 4:30 today.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the July Board of Selectmen meeting, July 3rd. I hope everyone has a wonderful 4th of July. Thank you for being here. I'm Mike Frieda, North Haven's first selectman, joined, as always, by our second selectman, Mr. William Piper, and our third selectwoman, Miss Sally Boemi. I'd like to ask everyone to stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 2, any public comments to tonight's agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move to item number 3, the approval of the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes of June 5th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Okay.
I will second Sally's motion.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 4, the approval of the Board of Selectmen's special meeting on June 25th. Is there a motion?
27.
27th, I'm sorry.
27. I'll make a motion for approval of Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes of June 27, 2025.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I didn't quite second it yet. I wanted to make an amendment because it says that Mr. Piper motioned with a second from Ms. Boemi to enter into executive session and invite Richard Monaco and attorney William Ryan. Mr. Piper's motion was to go into executive session, and I filed a motion to amend that to invite them in order to comply with 1-225 of the Connecticut General Statutes.
Okay. Yep.
So, because we want to be careful to be in compliance of freedom of information, we should have the minutes reflect the proper way that we went into executive session.
All right, so we'll make.
Okay, thank you. And with that change anticipated, I will second.
All right. So we have the motion, the amendment, the second. Any other discussion?
And again, just probably for the final, just looking at the agenda, it says special meeting minutes is actually, we didn't include minutes, I think, in the approval there, even though I said it.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
Call for that vote?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will pass over number 5, and we'll go to number 6, and we'll start some of the reappointments. So who'd like to handle that?
I'll do number 6. I will make a motion for the reappointment of Todd Ritchie, 27 Fallon Drive, to the Cemetery Commission for a 2-year term to expire June 30th, 2027.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second Todd's reappointment.
Okay. Todd, thank you for willing to serve again. We appreciate that. So we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 7.
I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Carl Veith, 30 Allendale Drive, to the Cemetery Commission for a 2-year term to expire June 30th, 2027.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Carl would like to thank you for all your years of service on this commission. He's out there, he's checking the cemeteries, he does a great job for us behind the scenes. So we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye. And I'll make a motion for the appointment of Lucia Rafala, 333, excuse me?
She pronounces it Lucia.
Lucia, excuse me. The Italian way was Lucia. Sorry. Lucia Rafala, 333 Middletown Avenue, to the Community Services Commission to fill the vacancy of Sumit Sharma, term to expire December 31st, 2025.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second Lucia's appointment
Right.
to the Community Services Commission.
Okay. And Lucia, we thank you, Lucia, for your willingness to serve. So we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 9.
Sal, I'll let you handle that because I'll abstain from voting on property tax refunds based on,
A recusal?
obviously, a conflict of interest on my part in terms of one of the small refunds. Refunds are all small like they typically are in terms of, I think in many cases due to related to auto taxes and refunds that autos being sold or given away. But I will abstain from that vote, so I'll turn it over to Sally.
Right. I think it's properly a recusal rather than an abstention.
Yes.
So the minutes should reflect a recusal. It's
Yes.
different. So I will make,
I'll recuse before abstain.
right.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Thanks, Sally.
When you recuse, you don't vote. An abstention is a vote, so you're
Oh, that's very
you're
true.
not
I
voting at
will-
all.
I
Okay.
will recuse myself.
Yes, that's the proper way to go. So I will make a motion to accept the property tax refunds reflected in the agenda.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oop. Okay, very good. Motion passes.
No, I abstained, I'm sorry. I
No, you
recused.
recused. You have it on the record as a recusal. Okay.
Sorry about that. So.
It's okay.
All right, before we get to item number 10, I just want to share with everybody that the July meeting on the Board of Selectmen is always probably one of the briefest meetings. There's not a lot of content. We will have more content on the next agenda. At the August Board of Selectmen meeting, we're working on a couple of things that we'll bring to the Board of Selectmen. But with that being said, the next regular meeting here is August 7th, 2025 at 6:30 here in the upstairs conference room here at Town Hall. We now are at the point of public comment. Adam, you raise your hand first, okay? And then Bill, you're next. Yes, and just identify yourself, Adam, please.
Adam Surratt, Allendale Drive. I am here, I've lived in this town 20 years, and I see all the meetings online and on TV, and I've never, I follow it from a distance. But after the last meeting, I felt like I needed to come. I watched Mr. Buck come, leave his couch. He's a fire chief in another town, and he felt disgusted by what went on here. The attacks on Sally and Nancy were out of control by their own party. I mean, if you want to challenge them, do it at the ballot box. Do it primary. Do not attack them personally. Do not say, oh, Sally's chasing kids around, taking pictures of them. That's outrageous. That's embarrassing. It should never happen. Sally's given 3 decades or more to this town, and we need to thank her. If you disagree, fine. Write to the editor like he said, or go against her. But do not attack her personally. Same with Nancy. For them, for the group, and I'm a Democrat. I've been a Democrat for 40 years. I was embarrassed by the behavior. There was one after another, people coming here. 10 feet away from Sally, from Nancy, you should resign. You're disgusting. Let me see your phone. What do you mean? That's not okay. That's not okay. Mr. Buck was absolutely right. Absolutely right. And every one of the people who did that should be embarrassed. They should apologize, and they should act like civil citizens. And I'm proud of what Sally does and what Nancy does, and I think everybody should thank them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Bill Richards.
Bill Richards, North Avenue. I just want to follow up on that gentleman's statement. I was totally blown away by the way our people from this town acted at the last meeting. This is something that you don't see in North Haven, you see on the news and other places. And these people, they get up and present themselves as very vicious, should have been removed from the room altogether. And, you know, over the past years, I think I've seen at some of the meetings where we had a police officer at one of these, at one of these meetings or at the rec center with some meetings over there. Well, these people should apologize for their outcome, what went on, and it should not be tolerated in North Haven, and they should be asked to leave or removed by the police out of this room. And that's all I want to elaborate on that. And the other thing is, do you have any indication what's going to go into Smithfield over there, Old Agway?
It's something I'm working on right now. So
Okay.
we have 2 retailers that we're working with a commercial real estate agent, and not prepared to really make an announcement at this point. So,
All right, and the other thing I'm happy to see is the governor vetoed down the state housing plan. And were you in contact with him at all over what they wanted to do to all our towns with the planning and zoning?
was I in contact? The governor called me on a Sunday afternoon. I was at the Stonebridge Restaurant in Milford, and he called me to ask for support because he was going to veto the bill. So I've been directly involved with it as president of the Council of Small Towns, and we're working to try to work with the governor to see what we can do on this. But it's vetoed, and that's where we're at right now. So.
Yeah, because I know I had talked to Jennifer Capola. She was here at the last meeting, and I caught her on the way out, and she said it was on his desk. Well, he didn't veto it till about 2.5 weeks later. So I'm happy to see he did that for the town, being on the advisory committee for housing a couple of years ago. Right. And, you know, it's the best interest of North Haven, you know, in any town in Connecticut. They keep the government out and dictate to where we can put our housing in Connecticut.
The veto is very controversial, Bill. That's why he called me on a Sunday, because it was going to be vetoed publicly on Monday. So he's kind of looking for some support on it, because we, and I'm talking about 2 agencies now, as president of COST, as former president of CCM, of which I'm on the executive committee, we were working with, as CCM and COST, to present why it should be vetoed, and it was vetoed.
Yeah, because I think it was about 50-50 across the state on who wanted it and who didn't want it. So I'm happy to see that for the town. Worked out well. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Bill, thank you. Sue.
Hi, Sue
Hi, Sue.
Benvenuti, Bassett Road. I know, we're beating a dead horse here, but, you know, I went to those budget referendums at the meetings at the high school, and I saw Mike Frieda be attacked, the Board of Education people being attacked, I don't know the guy's name, is it Rich Monaco being attacked, when Mike didn't do the meeting, and those 3 men were up there, and nobody piped up to say, hey, knock it off, because the people that were attacked last meeting here were the 2 that did the majority of the attacking, that I was just like blown away that an adult can do that. I made a comment at the last meeting that those parents are doing good for their kids, and I meant as far as bringing them to vote. I did not mean as far as attacking another adult, because you showed very good by bringing your children out to vote and show them what voting is, but you did terrible to show them how to mistreat another human being. So as far as how mistreated people were, I was appalled at what happened at the high school, at those 2 meetings. I was appalled at what happened here. So, you know, I mean, it's not like I can give but not take, you know, that type thing. I'm sorry. And I can't just sit back and say, yes, you 2 women, especially Sally, were attacked. And yes, you were verbally attacked. You both verbally attacked other elected officials here. So I'm just saying that because I just don't want it to be, you know, I think everybody has to show proper behavior. And I did come up and take a picture of this right after the meeting. And that sign should be read before every meeting, just like it's posted out at a ball field. It's mutual respect in here. We're all adults. I'm said.
May I make some comments on your comments, please? As far as comments I made at budget meetings at the high school, I could remember a couple very specifically. I did challenge Mr. Monaco, who stated that the Board of Finance had never cut the Board of Ed budget unless the referendum had defeated the budget or unless there was some mathematical error. And I had a lot of data from previous minutes that I presented to show that that was a false statement. I didn't attack him personally. I didn't accuse him of lying. I didn't accuse him of any illicit behavior or character attack. He unilaterally made a statement that the Board of Finance had never cut the Board of Ed budget unless it was one of those specific instances, and I knew that that was not accurate and did my research and had data to show. And then I did make a comment about OPEB.
Excuse me. Can I cut in here? Excuse me.
Sure.
I'm not looking to rehash what took place.
Well,
No, you have videos, go look at them. I'm sorry. Okay, I just gave my opinion on it because
Yeah.
other town officials were attacked there. And it wasn't just, this is the facts and this is the way it is. It was, well, you know what? Trust me, I know how to do that.
Okay.
And that's what I felt. Well, you were doing it at the first meeting and then again at the second one. Okay, I'm just saying, I understand why there's people here to defend you and say it was horrible what happened. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad what happened the other way too. And I don't play Republican, Democrat. I don't play that game.
Okay.
I play, this is how you are as a person, this is it. Once you're elected here, in the town, in the state, in the federal government, you're supposed to be for the people. You're not ever supposed to ever again say Democrat or Republican while you are discussing a thing. I don't care. It's the point that matters.
Yeah.
It's fix the points.
Yes.
Fix the town,
I
fix
don't
the state,
think I've
fix the
ever
country.
mentioned Democrat versus
Okay.
Republican.
All
But
right.
I just wanted to also, I did make a comment about the Mr. Doheny when I was trying to talk about OPEB, because I was very concerned last year when we budgeted zero money for OPEB, which is other post-employment compensation, a very important line item in our budget. And the last fiscal year, we had budgeted zero, and I had voiced concerns about that because of GASB 43, the Government Accounting Standards Board. And this current fiscal year, money was put on that line. And so I made a comment that I was happy to see that, because last year I felt that it was improperly budgeted at zero. So maybe you interpreted that as a personal attack. Elected officials are allowed to disagree. In fact, disagreement is good
Disagreement's
for.
okay, but yelling at people is not. Okay, that's what I'm
But
saying. There's a big
but
difference in the way
yeah.
that it was presented.
Right.
Okay, that's all I'm
Well,
saying.
okay,
That's all I said, is that here we are having two so far, and from what I understand, probably a third one coming in to make a comment about
Right,
how you people were treated
yeah,
at the last meeting. And I'm just saying, I can't sit here
yeah,
in good conscience and just say, no, I know you were mistreated.
right. Well, I
I'm not
encourage
saying
you,
tit for tat. Yeah, you were mistreated, but you also did mistreat. And
Well-
that's what I'm saying. And that's when I said, let me come up here. and
Right.
I think you buzzed me in so I can come and take a picture of that sign. Because I think it should be, I would make a copy of it and let everybody have that as they walked in the door.
right.
If we're
I
going
agree.
to get out of control and not know
Right.
how to treat people like humans.
And you just characterized how I spoke at the meeting, and I get complaints all the time from people that they can't hear me at the meeting because I talk too quietly. But, so I'll have to watch it again, and I urge you to watch it again, because I don't think I was yelling at anyone. I do disagree with some elected officials at times, as they disagree with me. And I believe that that is good for, that healthy discourse leads to better decision-making.
So do
So I
I.
don't see anything wrong with that.
So do
I have
I.
never I've never attacked anyone's character, accused them of being a liar or anything like that. And I profusely deny that I've ever done that in public meetings. So I think that's the line that the gentleman who spoke before we're talking about. But I understand your position, and I think you've made a point, and I appreciate you coming and making your point. And thank you very much.
Thanks.
And I like your idea about the civil sign. Thank you.
Right.
Al Warren, Charles Court, North Haven. First thing was, I want to go back to Revale. I called Equality Valuations when they first sent me a letter that they were looking at the houses in the neighborhood. They never came out or contacted me. I spoke to him about the problem I have with the open space in back of me, and he says, I'll have to take a second look. Never came out. I went for the appeal and everything, sat down with the people in the assessor's office, and even gave him pictures and everything to go through with the reval. And he said, this is a problem, we'll look into it. Nothing was done, my reval is still the same. Okay, he took a little bit off, maybe not even $6,000. Letter was sent to Inland Wetlands Enforcement Officer, to property owners on Hartford Turnpike regarding debris dumping in the town properties. If it wasn't for me, she would have never sent those letters out, because nobody looks at the open space on my side of the road. Right? Adopted by the town of North Haven, 9/24/2002, establishment of an open space advisory committee, right? Illicit discharges upon the roadway and catch basins along Hartford Turnpike. Nothing's been done. Absolutely nothing. Groundwater intrusion in my backyard. Sump pump runs 24 hours a day. Now it's out to my front lawn. The water, groundwater. Tree cut down because it was in the front lawn. I had a tree on my front lawn, had to be cut down because it started leaning because the water was coming out of the bottom of the tree. Now, my property abuts the open space. Does that increase or decrease my property value?
We have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know. So I think that did you go through the BAA, the Board of Assessment Appeals? Because that is where you should have gone.
Nobody came.
No, they don't
Nobody
come.
came.
They don't
I
come.
showed him pictures of everything.
They don't come.
Nobody came.
You have to file paperwork to...
I did file the paperwork.
So did you go to the BAA, the separate elected officials downstairs?
Yeah.
Did you go to the meeting?
Yeah.
And what happened?
They didn't do nothing.
Well, what do you mean? You just said they dropped $6,000.
Yeah, that's all they took off.
Well, that's the way it works.
What do you mean that's the way it works?
Those are the elected
Nobody
officials.
came out to my property. I told the guy, come out and look. When I went for the reval, right, I did everything, right? So next, I get the thing, and they have the second one. So I go up there, and I said to the guy, did you get my pictures? He says, what pictures?
But who are you talking about?
Who's the guy you're talking about? We're not following.
Was the guy that was sitting there that day.
Which guy?
The hearing, the
At the
guy who
hearing.
heard your
Yeah,
hearing?
yeah.
You had it in March, probably? The March hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went up for the reval and everything, you know.
'Cause you
I
are
sat-
allowed to
I
submit-
sat down with the guy. He sent me, they send you a questionnaire before you go for the reval again, right?
Right.
I filled out the questionnaire. I sent photos of what's going on in the open space in the back. He didn't do nothing. Because he said to me, what pictures? When I sat down with him, he says, well, we'll take a look at this. And they took some money off. But that's not, it's not enough. It's not enough. Nothing is done, right? You see this picture here? This was in the advisor. You know how many trees in open space have that wrapped around them? It is not maintained, period. And I want that curtain drained.
Well, how many times have you talked to Public Works about this? You met with
Public Works never come out there.
Then those are the people you have to talk to, Al.
I'm talking to you. You're their boss.
No, you've already gone through the process. They walked your yard. What more do you want Public Works to do?
What did he tell?
What did he tell you?
When I talked to Lynn before she retired, I asked her, what's going to happen up here in the back? Because they were out there, her and Laura were out there. And she says, they're not going to do nothing. That's the answer I got from her.
It's open space.
That's open space, that's the answer then.
They're not going to do nothing,
Well, if that's the answer, you already have the answer.
right?
This Board of Selectmen doesn't change the
I
answer.
got the uprooted trees I still have the uprooted trees in my backyard, 12 feet in diameter. I'm looking at the roots of 2 trees in my backyard that were brought down during the tornado, right? The groundwater comes out of the bottoms in the holes where the trees once stood, right? I put pipe in with holes in the pipe. I'm not gonna dig up a trench in the backyard on your property. I put pipe in with holes in it so I could get the water to run. That doesn't work too well, right? That's it. That's the problem I got.
Not sure.
I can't cut the lawn in my backyard after a heavy rain. I have to go out there with a trimmer.
Well, I gotta tell you, Al, we have a lot of people in the same boat. This young lady's she has the same problem
I
in her
have a
yard.
lot of groundwater in my backyard. It
Well,
comes out of the
that's
hill.
how
It comes out of the hill. I'm not asking the town to
Okay,
do
wait a
something
minute.
about it. There's
But
nothing that can
what
be
hill?
done. It's
Who
groundwater.
owns the open space?
But it's open space.
No. Who owns it?
The town owns it.
That's right. You're responsible for it.
But they haven't determined that open space contributes to your water. Your groundwater's high as it is, probably. What can I say?
I
mean,
called the EP. They ain't doing nothing either, right? I found out that one of the ladies lives in the town of
Maybe they
North
don't
Haven.
agree with you, though. You know, that it's not the open space behind you, it's your property itself. And the fact that we've had a lot of
So
rain.
answer the question, does it increase or decrease the value of my property?
Neither,
Neither?
no. Why would it increase the value of your property necessarily or decrease it? They took $6,000 off for you, you said. They did consider, what you presented in terms of completing the questionnaire, and you provided pictures. So do you want us to, we don't have the authority to overrule their decision.
The only recourse you have is to file a
You want us to
lawsuit
overrule the
against
decision on,
town.
when
That's
you
the next
appealed your
step.
revale? We can't do that. That's not
I
our,
understand that,
huh?
but I went for the second hearing, and they still didn't do it.
Because
The
I
guy
don't
said,
have that information.
what pictures? I sent them the pictures. I gave them the pictures when I first went. All the pictures I took of the open space and everything. The town is responsible for the open space. I got groundwater coming out. That's the problem. People dump in the backyards and everything. That's it. And then they got the trees are not maintained. It's up to the tree warden, who's the director of public works, to maintain the trees. Second question on this, all right? I asked you a question one time, I said about where the open space committee meets. Every meeting that they would supposedly hold is canceled.
Because they don't have
How are you
anything.
supposed to talk to people in open space if they don't have cancel a meeting every time?
Well, the Open Space Advisory Committee meets
Quarterly.
is scheduled to meet quarterly, but the purpose of the Open Space Advisory Committee is to advise the Board of Selectmen on potential.
And how many people are on the open space advisory committee?
About 7 or 8. There's a
And I've
amount,
been to meetings where there's only 3.
right. But
They don't even
but,
show up.
the
So let's go back to there, where the open space
Would you allow
advisory
her
committee.
to finish the explanation,
The
please?
purpose of the Open Space Advisory Committee is to advise the Board of Selectmen on potential purchases of open space. And right now, I mean, we had a flurry of open space issues a few years back, the Valentino property, Sinaway property. We did maybe 2 or I think maybe 3 purchases of open space. And that's when the Open Space Advisory Committee comes in. They are not responsible for overseeing the upkeep of the open space. That would be more Public Works, I believe. As far as whether or not bordering open space hurts or helps the value of your property, I'm not a trained assessor or appraiser, but I do know that primary criteria for assessed values is square footage of the lot, square footage of the house, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, air conditioning, other amenities to the house. So I don't think open space would come into the assessed value. It may come in as far as fair market value if you were trying to market your house. Some people might find it a positive that there is open space in the back so that they know it won't be developed. Others might say, oh, I got this raw land out here with the concerns that you have. So the bordering open space might have an impact on your market value, but I don't think it really, which is different from assessed value. Assessed value criteria are a bit more objective. By lot size and square footage and things like that. However, you did have the right, since you filed, I assume, a timely appeal by February 20th of 2025, you did have a right to submit any evidence in support of your claim that your reval was too high, so they should have had the pictures, and so that concerns me that they didn't have the evidence that you presented. However, I don't really know what value, if any, that would have had, but you did get a $6,000. I know it's probably not what you were looking for, but you did get some accommodation. So that's really all.
I mean, some of this stuff that's in the, some of it says that if you're abutting property of the open space, it increases the value and stuff like that. That's on some of the stuff that was put out when the Open Space Committee started meeting too.
Well, it all gets
And
assessed.
even they didn't know,
Well,
when I called them up,
increase-
I says, does this increase or decrease the value of my property?
Well, I mean,
Well, again, there's different
for
values.
buyers, though, I think is
There's
what
assessed and
the
there's-
point Sally's making is that if you were selling your house, some buyer may consider that valuable.
But
And,
it's not maintained. It's not maintained at all. And the ground intrusion, the best one is the one I turned in. The guy dug a trench in Hartford. You talk about illicit discharges that was going on. The guy dug a trench with a backhoe up on Hartford Turnpike, right? And he connected to that with a 6-inch green pipe. Next thing you know, the water is coming out and coming down into the roadway. And guess what? When it snows, the snow melts because you can see the steam coming off. That was turned in. I gave it to the town engineer. He looked at it. Yeah, I was out there. What are you going to do? He says, it's like that throughout the town. That's the answer I got. That all goes into the groundwater. I don't know if they're curtain drains or what, but you go along Hartford Turnpike and you'll see all the illicit hookups that are along Hartford Turnpike. You just walk up there and there's no doubt about it. That's where the groundwater's coming, besides the open space not being maintained, with the swales that used to be in there where the farmer used to drive up there with his tractor before. So if it's not gonna be done one way, it'll be done another way. The second thing is, I never got a thank you for this, but I called, who was it? Lynn. I called Lynn, and I asked her, I asked you the question, who does the electrical work for the town? You got into that, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And you said you have in-house.
Well, no.
No, we don't.
No.
We don't have, we have a contract.
We have a contract.
So you have a contractor,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So did he do the work that was in the hallway, where the open space people meet? The room in there where the copying machines were?
We
I
would know.
believe that was addressed a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the question now?
Okay, the question is, I told Lynn, the first time I saw her, it's an illegal hookup. You can't run an extension cord up the wall and through the ceiling into the opening up into the ceiling. It's illegal.
Is it still like that? Is it still like that?
No, it was fixed.
Okay.
How it was fixed is I gave Lynn the law.
Well, thank you.
That's how it was fixed.
So we had no idea about this. This isn't something we've been involved
What
with, so-
room are you talking about?
Where the open space is, where they meet,
I don't know where they meet. I've never,
that's in the other
It's a
building.
conference room in the annex.
in the annex,
Yeah. Yeah.
conference?
On the first floor. It's an office conference room. It's
Oh,
not
when
a-
you walk
It's
in,
not the rec conference room. It's in the annex. There's a small conference room.
okay, near in the general
Yeah,
Public Works,
between
Planning and Zoning
community
hallway.
services and building, yeah.
Gotcha, yeah,
Small.
I can see it, I see it, okay.
But thanks for pointing it out, and it got addressed, so thank you.
What was ever doing it? Did the guy have a license?
Again, we can't answer that because I wasn't
Well,
involved in
you
it.
can't answer that.
We're not
Somebody got
involved
paid
in
to
it.
do the work.
You pointed
not
it
sure
out,
that the
thank you, and it's been
electrical vendor
addressed.
did that.
What more do you want us to do?
I'm sure they're the ones
Thank
who
you.
corrected it.
I don't know, and I don't care. Has it been addressed, and is it now in code or
It was
not?
addressed because I turned it in.
Thank you,
Thank you.
okay? What more do you need to understand?
Who did the work?
I don't know, as long as it's been done, and it's done properly.
You had
Thank
to pay
you.
the guy to do the work.
I don't know. That's outside the scope of my
But
responsibility.
we're not saying that it was the vendor who created the problem, that was the vendor who corrected the problem. We're not sure how the problem originated,
It was
but you brought it
corrected-
to our
it was
attention.
corrected after
and we're
I
say-
told Lynn.
And we're saying thank you, but it was not the vendor who created the problem. The vendor corrected it. So you're blaming the vendor. They didn't create
How
it.
long ago was this, Al?
A couple of years ago,
How many?
about a year and a half ago.
Exactly?
Yeah,
First I've heard of it, thank you.
yeah.
So, I mean,
No
that's,
idea about it, so.
thanking you for
Well, but
bringing it to our
look at the date
attention.
that
but-
I asked the question at one of the meetings here.
We're not disputing it, Al. We're saying, yes, I recall you brought it up. It was checked into. In fact, it was being remedied the night you brought it up at the meeting because I had already talked to Lynn about it. I'm not sure how it
And
originated.
I remember the meeting, and you said, Mike didn't know about it, and you said to me, you said to me, and you said to Mike, it's been taken care of.
Correct.
Right. After I turned it in.
And we're acknowledging that. We're
Okay.
thanking you for
I'm
that.
just saying.
But I'm
It's-
saying
it's
don't blame the
people you-
vendor for the
You
problem.
have to look at the people you hire to do the work.
But that's what I'm
Okay.
telling you.
Okay.
The people we hired did not create the problem.
That's it.
It could have been staff who maybe thought they were
On
doing.
top of that, I asked, you got fire marshals in this town, right? I asked them the question, you know what they told me? We don't inspect work done in our town. They just inspect the houses. We don't have anything to do with work in town property.
But once again, the vendor did not create the problem, Al.
When
So
the
what
work
was
is
there
done,
to
The fire
inspect?
marshal should have inspected it, that's a law.
All right, Val, let's just
Okay.
leave it here, okay? So,
Thank you.
all right. I think we're ready
You
to,
have to take a permit out to do it.
I think we're ready to adjourn here, folks, okay? I see no other further comment, okay? So,
Are there
is there a
any
motion?
further comments? No.
There's no further comments. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay. All those in favor? All
aye.
right, thank you.
Here is,
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.